This week on Milk Street, we travel to northern Italy, to Emilia-Romagna, to do a ragù bolognese. Lots of meat and no cream, but it's incredibly creamy and rich. Then we use that sauce to make a lasagna bolognese, which has no mozzarella. So stay tuned as we investigate the very best of Bologna.
Funding for this series was provided by the following.
For 25 years, Consumer Cellular's goal has been to provide wireless service that helps people communicate and connect. We offer a variety of no-contract plans, and our U.S.-based customer service team can help find one that fits you. To learn more, visit consumercellular.tv.
Alessandro, benvenuto a Savigno.
Ciao carissimo,
Ciao.
è un grande piacere. Bravo! Kimball.
Kimball.
So food, baby. Yeah. But this is happiness, eh?
Time for lunch. And then you did this.
No,
No?
su.
Yeah, that was great. I really...
Pignoletto. We're going to have pignoletto.
What's pignoletto?
It's a native grape variety from Bologna area. Ma, what do you have there? C'è one fryer. Christopher Kimball.
Andrea Giuseppe.
Andrea Giuseppe.
We are 6 families and the friars. This is a quiet life.
Well, there are a lot of things that are easy that don't taste good. This is easy and it tastes great.
We're driving up in the hills, destination Savigno. You're going to have fun with Alberto, 100% ragù bolognese. Allora andiamo a Savigno. All the nonnes are excited about your visit. Buongiorno. I love every single nonne because they have the secrets and we have to open the heart to take all of the secrets and they want to do this. This is beautiful, real people.
They were amazing.
It's gotta be.
No. Okay.
Good.
What are we going to do next here? What are we doing now here? Are we cooking something?
Yeah, sure. Ragù.
Now, I'm not going to say traditional or classic. This is your bolognese.
Every member of a family has a different recipe. Use the best local ingredient to make the truly 100% bolognese with the local meat, local flour, local eggs, local vegetables, local pignoletto wine.
And a local chef.
A local chef
Yeah,
and
that's
a
most
local
important.
chef. One by one the meat.
Aggiungiamo anche il prosciutto. L'abbiamo mai fatto. Pomodoro.
In the countryside, the farmer, when come back home from the field, they ate the tagliatelle with ragù and with onion. One bite of tagliatelle, one bite of onion.
Really?
Yeah, we serve it to our guests. I think that 20% try it in this way.
That, I've had this a couple times now in Bologna, and this is infinitely better.
Do you feel it, a different texture of the pasta?
Yeah, it's
Less
much
elastic,
Yeah.
but more.
toothsome. And the sauce has got a lot of depth to it.
Now you are ready.
I prepare for you.
Anytime they get someone from the States here, they make up this thing about the onion, right? Just to have a little fun with them. I know how it works.
Okay, now try to.
That's right. I like it.
If you close your eye, you are in a countryside, old house in front of the fireplace, and at the end of your working day in the fields. And these are the flavor that my grandfather probably.
This is very special.
Oh,
Yeah, very
thank you.
This is authentically local.
Somewhere.
Thank you. Grazie mille.
Grazie.
Grazie mille. Yeah.
Grazie.
You know, if you travel even to Italy today, you discover, if you do the classics, they're done differently there than here. And you think after all these generations of food writers on these boondoggle trips, right, that we get it right. So ragù bolognese is one of those cases. I went to a little restaurant outside of Bologna, and there was no cream. You know, it was just all meat. It's a meat sauce. And the fat in the meat gives you that silkiness and that richness to it, but you don't have to add dairy. Now, some people do. Every family has their own recipe. But this recipe I really love because it was about the meat, which is the essence of ragù bolognese.
So it is all about the meat. The meat is the star here. And because of that, we found pre-ground meat from the supermarket was just not going to cut it. So we're actually going to grind our own meat. We wanted to start with some really flavorful and fatty whole cuts of meat. We have a pound of pork shoulder, really flavorful, has a lot of fat on it. And then boneless beef short ribs. Again, a really, really flavorful cut. And then finally, our third meat is pancetta. I think you found they used prosciutto, which is pretty abundant in that region.
Well, in that region, every time you turn around, there's a huge leg hanging. So they have a lot of prosciutto, and it's not expensive.
Exactly. We liked the pancetta a little bit better here. You'll see this is a slab of pancetta. If you can buy it at the supermarket in the deli counter in this slab, it'll make it easier to cut it into chunks to grind it up.
Okay.
Key point here is we are not trimming any of this meat. We need all of that fat. It's going to create that really rich sauce that you were talking about. So we took these larger pieces of meat and cut them down into 1-inch chunks, and we're going to use the food processor to grind the meat. I've got the beef cut here. I'm going to put in half. You want to do this in batches. The food processor does a really good job, surprisingly, of grinding this meat up, but you do have to do it in batches, otherwise you're going to overload it.
So sometimes we've frozen meat for 10 or 15 minutes before grinding. We're not doing that here?
We're not doing that here. We just found we didn't need to do that.
Okay.
Now it's going to take 5 to 10 pulses. We have a really big, high-powered food processor. Yours may not be as high-powered. It might take a few more pulses.
The one I crank like this?
Exactly. You want it to be coarse. So let's take a look. And I'll show you what this kind of looks like here. See, it's really nicely ground. Again, very coarse. You don't want to grind it to a paste. We want to be able to have that texture in the sauce. So I'm going to transfer this over to a bowl. All right, so I'm going to finish with the rest of the beef and then do the pork in 2 batches as well. So I've got some oil and salted butter in the Dutch oven, getting started to start the base of our sauce. While that's going, I'm gonna grind up our pancetta. So again, we have that big slab of pancetta that we got from the deli. If you can't find that, you can sometimes find it already diced. It's probably gonna be a lot smaller, so it'll need a little bit less time in the food processor. So unlike the other meat that we processed nice and coarse, we're gonna actually take the pancetta to a paste. That's gonna distribute really nicely throughout that sauce and make it really rich and flavorful. Okay. So it's really a paste at this point. Now, if you wouldn't mind transferring that into that bowl over there. So the base of any bolognese is a sofrito. It's actually the base of most sauces, and that's onion, carrot, and celery. While we had the food processor out, we processed the vegetables in the food processor to make it just a little bit easier to prep. So I'm gonna add that to the butter and oil. And we'll let this cook for about 5 minutes. We want those vegetables to be soft and starting to brown. So the vegetables are really nice and soft. We're gonna continue to build on those flavors by adding some tomato paste. And whenever you use tomato paste, you really wanna cook it. Don't just throw it in and move on. You wanna get it so that it gets nice and dark and caramelized. That really brings out the flavor.
When you give tips like that, what you're really saying is, Chris, you're doing it wrong.
It's for everyone. It's for everyone.
And especially for me, right?
All right, so we've really caramelized that tomato paste. You can smell it, actually. Now I'm gonna deglaze with some white wine. You can use any dry white wine. I wish we had Pignoletto.
Pignoletto, the bottles got opened around 10 in the morning. That's when we started.
You poor thing. So you notice we have not put any garlic in here.
Good.
There's no garlic in a typical bolognese. So now I'm gonna add that meat that we ground up. If you would hold that bowl for me. Another thing we're not gonna do here is brown the meat. A lot of times people say, add dairy in there to keep the meat nice and tender. Well, if you don't overcook the meat,
Right.
it will stay nice and tender.
No, I watched them do it, and they would add the ground meat. They did it in 3 batches. And they'd only cook it for 15 to 20 seconds and add the next batch. So the meat never got gnarly and nubbly, you know, gets
Exactly.
tough.
That's all we're gonna do there. So now I'm gonna add 2 cans of whole tomatoes that we ground ourselves, again, in the food processor. Really getting a lot of use out of our food processor today. You get a lot more flavor if you take whole tomatoes and grind them yourself into a puree. It's kind of the lesson of this recipe. Don't use pre-ground anything. Don't use pre-ground meat, don't use pre-ground tomatoes.
Does everything in your life have a takeaway?
It has to have
lesson?
a theme. Yeah, a good lesson. This is some beef broth, a few bay leaves, and finally some red pepper flakes. So I'm gonna bring that to a simmer. We'll reduce it to medium-low, partially cover it, and let this simmer for 3 hours. You really want a long simmer on this. That's gonna really concentrate all of the flavors.
That gives you that really supple creaminess, right?
That's exactly right. So it looks a lot different, doesn't it?
It does. You know, a raw meat sauce is not nearly as good as a cooked one.
It's nice and condensed. All that flavor is really pronounced now. So I'm gonna taste it. We have not added really any salt other than what was in our beef broth at this point. So I just wanna taste it to see what we need. Need a little bit of salt. I like salt.
I do
don't know.
too. Undersalted food is the worst crime.
So this looks great already, but we're gonna make it even better using an old kitchen trick.
You're just full of surprises today.
So we softened some gelatin in water, and we're gonna add that to the sauce. This is gonna add even more of that rich, supple texture to the sauce.
So in Italy, obviously the meat, at least at Amerigo, the restaurant, was local and had a lot of fat in it.
Right.
So our way of mimicking that is to add the gelatin, which gives you that same sort of luxurious
Right.
mouthfeel.
Just wanna make sure it's melted in. I know. We're gonna make a little pasta dinner for ourselves, but you can keep the rest of it and make our lasagna bolognese as well. So I'm gonna add some of this to some tagliatelle that I've already cooked. Now, we did not cook our pasta all the way through. This is something we do a lot here at Milk Street. We finish our pasta in the sauce. So I'm gonna mix this around and then we'll turn it on just for a couple of minutes. We'll just get it to al dente in the sauce.
Also, I see you reserved some
I did.
pasta cooking water to loosen it if
I
necessary.
did, and that's how you should loosen it rather than add more sauce. All right, I think we're good here. This looks amazing. I would love some Parmesan cheese if you would. Thank you so much.
Nicely dusted, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Now that does look pretty good, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And it's gonna taste really good too.
that's the real deal.
And it's so creamy.
Yeah, it's creamy. It has great meat flavor. Excellent job. Real ragu bolognese is about meat. We love meat, so you buy the meat, not ground, grind it in a food processor, cook it for a few hours, and you have that wonderful, rich, silky sauce. And you can make a great lasagna out of it too. So for someone who's about to watch you make lasagna, I have to admit, I don't like lasagna. I don't like American lasagna. It's heavy, full of mozzarella. The top gets too dried out. It's kind of a stomach bomb. So in Bologna, we had lasagna bolognese using the ragù bolognese we've already made here at Milk Street. It was a revelation. It wasn't too thick. It was very moist. It had the ragù, it had spinach noodles, and some bechamel, a little bit of sauce. And it was delicious, and it wasn't heavy. And I went like, oh, okay, now I understand why people make lasagna. So we'll do lasagna bolognese, which is a total makeover of the kind of lasagna that I grew up with.
Right. I agree with you completely. I had the same reaction you did the first time I made this. Rather than it being just another lasagna, it was the best lasagna I had ever had, and I never knew it could be so good. So we're going to be making it, and I'm excited. We'll get started by making the besciamella, the white sauce that is the base of this lasagna, in addition to the ragù, which you've already made. Let's turn this on a medium heat, and we will start by melting the butter. We have 6 tablespoons here. Okay, the butter is fully melted, and now we're going to add a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour and whisk that in until it's smooth. It will immediately thicken. So what we're making here is a roux. It's a basic start of a lot of different sauces and gravies. A lot of times you might want the roux to brown because that contributes to the flavor of whatever you're making, but in this case we want it to stay white. We are making a white sauce. We're going to whisk it for about 2 minutes, and that gets the starchiness of the flour starting to cook out. See that foaminess? And when you whisk it, you can see that it's still very light colored and light clear. It's not browning at all. So now we're going to start adding the half and half, if you wouldn't mind. We have 4 cups. A typical bechamel might be made with whole milk, but we preferred half and half for the extra richness and body it gave to this. Heavy cream was a little too heavy, so we have our happy medium there. If you wouldn't mind adding the aromatics, we have a little bit of red pepper flake and some bay leaves. This gives a lot of flavor. So now we'll turn this down to low heat, and we're going to give this about 10 or 15 minutes to simmer so it thickens, it reduces a little bit, and it develops its body. Okay, we've been going almost 15 minutes. Do you see how much thicker that is? It's beautiful, actually. Nice cling, slow drip. Okay. This is what makes this besciamella unique. We're adding the Parmesan to it. We're not layering it in the lasagna between. So if you wouldn't mind adding the Parmesan, that's freshly grated. It's going to melt right in. And then we have 6 whole basil leaves, if you would toss those in, please.
They also make a Parmesan cream, which is just reduced cream with Parmesan, which is very similar to this.
Right.
Which is also lovely.
Right. Ah, this is beautiful. Okay, can you see how smooth and beautiful that is? Now we're going to let this sit for about 5 minutes to cool just a little bit. It also allows the basil time, the flavor of the basil to get in there. Then we will strain it. Straining just makes the texture of it incredibly silky and smooth. It's just a little extra something. All right, we are at the point of assembly on our lasagna. We have the bechamel already, and it's warmed and strained. We also have the ragù that was made earlier, the ragù bolognese, which is amazing. And what we've done is soak our no-boil noodles. We chose to use these over the others because we actually like them better. The only thing we discovered that worked better with the no-boil is that you have to soak them first. So we give them a very brief soaking period in hot water, not boiling, but just hot water that has a little bit of olive oil and salt in it.
This is like wash day.
Instead of hanging these on the line, yes, we're going to blot. So we're taking these out. We have 12 noodles total. There are more underneath. We soaked these in the same pan we're going to assemble the lasagna in. So I'm going to get rid of the water now. This just needs drying out. If you would maybe grab that towel, and I will dry off the noodles. We're going to just blot these to get the extra water off. And we're ready to assemble the world's best lasagna.
Well, I said it was going to be juicy. I didn't know because we had water in the pan. That's one way to do it, right?
All dry now.
Okay.
Once again, our ragù and bechamel are both warm. That's good for assembly because then when it goes into the oven, it gets a nice even temperature to heat with. We're going to start with 2 cups of bolognese on the bottom. Spread this out. 3 noodles go on top. And then if you would do the bechamel scooping, we need a 1/4 cup of that onto each noodle.
This is very exciting. Because I know what's, at the end of the process, I know what's coming.
We know how
and
good
it's
this
so
is.
good.
It's kind of meditative to do this. All right, now we get to spread this very thinly. You want to go all the way to the edges of the noodles. And then another cup of ragu. So we had 2 cups on the bottom, and we're using 1 cup between each of the layers. And just sort of urge it to go to the edges. You can see how thin these layers are of bechamel and the ragu, but it's going to be 4 layers total with noodles in between, and it is perfect. When I was assembling this for the first time, I'm going, this is kind of thin, and then you taste it and you understand. And then we'll repeat that with 3 more layers of noodles, bechamel, and ragu. Great. And then we will finish with the rest of the ragu. Now, this is it. This is what goes on top. No cheese, nothing else added. We're going to cover this with aluminum foil. The oven is preheating to 350, and this will bake for about 45 minutes to an hour until it's bubbly and hot. And then that very difficult waiting period while it sets of a half an hour before we can eat it.
I worship at the altar of lasagna bolognese. I mean, if you're going to worship something in the food world,
make it something worth.
This would be worth worshiping.
Well, you certainly showed up quick after that.
I know when to show up at the last minute.
Okay, this has been sitting for a half hour. Okay, I'm using a serrated knife to cut, but it's really so tender, I think any knife would be good. And from how you described it earlier, I know what size piece you're going to want there.
A butter knife would cut through this.
Yes. That is gorgeous. Look at those layers.
Now, this is not all about cheese. Would you like a little bit on top?
A
little.
Yes. It's really, that's the cherry on top. It's not necessary. I love looking at these layers. I just love it. As thin as they were, but you could see every single one distinctly, and the whole thing just...
Wow.
I know, right? I think it would be out of balance if you put more in between the noodles.
Ooh, this is so good. Oh. With a normal lasagna, you put it in your mouth and it heads just kabunk to your stomach like this and just sits there. This gets in your mouth, it sort of dissolves, it's soft, it's creamy. So we highly recommend our lasagna bolognese, straight from Bologna. We used the ragù bolognese, which we made earlier. We used the bechamel with some melted Parmesan in it and some no-boil noodles. Actually very simple, but has wonderful flavor, nice balance, and it'll just melt in your mouth. You can get this recipe, which you absolutely should, and all the recipes from this season of Milk Street at milkstreettv.com.
Funding for this series was provided by the following.
For 25 years, Consumer Cellular has been offering no-contract wireless plans designed to help people do more of what they like. Our U.S.-based customer service team can help find a plan that fits you. To learn more, visit consumercellular.tv.